So most of us would say that the reason we're not cooking at home frequently is because we're not meal planning, and we blame it on the meal plan. The problem is it's actually very quick to make a meal plan. You could sit down right now with a pen and paper and write out meals for the coming week in 3 minutes. So how can we change how we look at this to be much more successful? Okay, so like I said, we look at a meal plan as a way to cook at home consistently. And I think that's where the breakdown is that we think the meal plan is the problem, when in all actuality, it's that we haven't gotten in the habit of cooking at home every day. So most of us want to cook at home more. And so that is our goal. And so we back up a step and we say, okay, if I'm gonna cook at home consistently, then I need a meal plan. And then we seek out all these different meal planning systems, apps, printables, binders of recipes. And we think if I could get that figured out, then I will cook at home consistently. But again, I think there's a breakdown with how we're looking at this. So most of us, our goal is to cook at home consistently, either to save money, eat healthier, or because we have food sensitivities or different ways of eating. And so our goal isn't even actually cooking at home. Our goal is to save money, right? Or to be healthier. And so that's our actual goal. But again, cooking at home is what helps us to achieve that goal. And then meal planning helps us to achieve the goal of cooking at home. And so do you see how there's actually multiple facets to this? It's like when I say, I want to get up early and start going to the gym. Well, my ultimate goal is to lose weight, but how do I get there is getting up early and then going to the gym and learning new exercises, and then eventually I will hopefully lose weight. But the problem is that is actually compound habits that we're trying to learn. And you know that, right? If we've set this New Year's resolution to try and get up early and work out, some days we might actually even get up early. But do we always make it to the gym? No, sometimes we get distracted with other things, right? Sometimes we do get there, but not always consistently, right? And I think most of us have had that same experience with meal planning. A lot of us have actually made the meal plan, right? But yet it still didn't translate into us cooking at home consistently. And so I want to back up today and say, okay, if my ultimate goal is to cook at home consistently, how can I actually be successful with this? And for most of us, what we need to do is we need to simplify it. If I want to lose weight and get to the gym every day, which requires getting up early, how could I simplify that process? And we learned this in Atomic Habits, right? Well, maybe I need to start doing something at home. Maybe I need to do a 5-minute walking in place video every day, and then after that I could start to add some weights, and then after that I would have the confidence and the desire to go to the gym. Do you see what I'm saying? And so most of us need to highly simplify our meal planning and our meal rotation until we're cooking at home consistently, and then we can start to rotate in healthier recipes and more variety and the more of the things that our family is asking for. But until we have the habit established of cooking at home, there's no meal plan that's gonna save you. And that's what actually frustrates me a lot of times when I used to click on all of them too, right? The videos and the Pinterest links guaranteeing that it's gonna save dinner time. And what frustrates me now looking back is most of those were introducing a complicated system or something that was just involved too many recipes, too many meals to choose from, a whole binder of recipes, right? And if that works for you, you keep doing that. That is great. But for the rest of us who that has not worked for and we've been very frustrated, what we need to do first step is to highly simplify our meal rotation until we are cooking at home consistently. And then once we have that habit in place of cooking at home consistently, again, that's where we then start to bring in more variety and start to learn new recipes. So one more time, I'm gonna compare this to the gym. So it's like we have to get up early, we have to go to the gym, and we have to learn new exercises all in an attempt to lose weight. How that relates to meal planning is we have to have the habit of actually meal planning once a week or whenever you do it. You have to then learn new recipes and then cook at home in order to save money or to eat healthier. So again, if we can simplify this process, we are gonna be so much more successful. Okay, so what does this practically look like? If I wanna start back at square one with meal planning, what I need is a rotation of meals that is very easy for me. at this point in the game, if I'm just trying to get in the habit of cooking at home again, I need the meals to be recipes that I know very well. I mean, preferably I don't even need a recipe. Tacos, spaghetti, all of these like easy, simple things that I know how to make, because at the end of the day, I have no bandwidth to try new recipes. I don't even like to do recipes that have extra steps or that I have to look at a recipe. So knowing myself now, it has to be very simple. So these recipes have to be things I know inside and out. So you can literally take a notebook or a piece of paper and just start to write down all of the recipes that are very easy for you to prepare. So again, for me, I would put like chili, tacos, spaghetti, chicken chili, chicken tacos, enchiladas. There's a couple Instant Pot recipes that we have that are soups that are super easy. There's a chicken and rice one, chicken broccoli rice. So I could just off of the top of my head right now, again, just with a plain piece of paper and pen, I could write down probably 15 to 20 recipes that I know well enough that I could start out with my streamlined, really basic meal rotation. And what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna use just these recipes for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks until I've solidified this habit of cooking at home again, because it actually is really a habit. So just yesterday after church, we were going to go to a restaurant to get lunch because we had a gift card. And so we're like, okay, it's the day before I would normally get grocery pickup. So the house, we had very low grocery inventory and we were gonna go out to eat for lunch. So I'm like, perfect. I don't have to make anything. Doesn't matter that we don't have much for groceries left at home. We got to where we were going to go and it was closed. And we were like, what the crap, right? And instantly I'm like, what are we gonna do? I don't have groceries at home, but there was nowhere else close by to eat. And we were like already headed back towards the direction of home. And so we're like, we're just gonna go home. Like, I just wanna get home. We'll find something to eat there. Well, what did we do? We found we had a thing of gluten-free pasta. We had some spaghetti sauce and we had leftover breakfast sausage that Tom had made in the morning. And so we cut up the breakfast sausage, we made the noodles quick and we ate at home. And again, that was a habit because we could have driven through McDonald's, but we've really been trying to cook at home more. And so it was like, no, we'll just go home and we'll figure out something to make. But that's a habit. That's something that we have to switch in our mind and say, yeah, no matter what, I always have something at home to make. Another way that we can really simplify it and make it easy is to recognize that there might be nights during the week that we need convenience meals. So again, in the beginning, when I was trying to reestablish this habit, I looked at it like, well, I would rather come home from church and put a frozen pizza in the oven than go through McDonald's or another fast food place on the way home. And so I started looking at like, okay, well, I'm just gonna know for Sunday lunch, I have pizza or chicken nuggets or something like that we can just throw in as soon as we get home. And then from there, I started to be like, oh, I could cut up some apples to serve with it, or I could add some frozen broccoli on that I throw in the air fryer. But first, I just had to, again, get into this habit. And if that meant I needed to have convenience meals, I was okay with that because I looked at that like, well, at least we're not eating out. Again, our goals were to save money and to eat a little bit healthier. So I still looked at frozen pizza with a side of broccoli as healthier than McDonald's, right? Not much. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I wasn't like the best, like most healthiest mom ever. But then from there, I started to realize like, oh, okay, well, it's actually really easy to make a double batch of chicken chili. And then when we get home, we can have chicken chili instead of the frozen pizza, right? But again, first, I reestablished this habit of cooking at home all of the time. And so a couple other tips, if we're still in this phase of reestablishing the habit and wanting to simplify our meal planning, is that we don't necessarily worry about using up all the weird foods in our pantry. I know that's a tactic for meal planning, like, oh, go through your pantry. If I knew tonight on my meal plan was a weird recipe that I had gone to all recipes and typed in that I had quinoa and chicken breast, but I'd never made it before, it was not gonna happen. I was not gonna come home, pull up the recipe and make it. It simply was not gonna happen. And so right now, again, when we're having it highly simplified and reestablishing this habit, don't worry about using up all the weird things in your pantry or your freezer or even your fridge. Again, we're just trying to use meals that we know well to reestablish this habit. Another tip is to keep your pantry foods very consistent and simplified. So even for me, now that we've reestablished this habit of cooking at home and meal planning and all of this, I still know myself, and trying new recipes or adding lots of new variety in is a recipe for disaster. If I have more than one new recipe in a week, I will not stick to the meal plan. I'll either just ditch the recipe altogether and I'll just make something else that I know more easily, or we'll find ourselves eating out. And that's how then I end up with weird random foods in our pantry, is when I get stuff to make recipes and never end up making them, right? Again, just for me in this process, what I found is that I need to keep the foods in our pantry very consistent. And so my grocery order is actually very consistent every week. And that my meal rotation is 15 meals or less. And that we add variety seasonally with the different like vegetables or salads or different things that we do, but mostly our meal rotation is pretty small and stays very consistent. But this is the only way I found for me in a busy season to cook consistently, to order groceries consistently, and for us to have semi-healthy recipes that we're choosing from, because I know them well and they're very consistent. Does that mean that everyone is always excited about what I'm making for dinner tonight? No, it doesn't. But for me, that's a trade-off right now because I know the season that we're in. I would love to get to a season where we're trying new recipes, and I mean, Adeline likes to cook. Like, her and I really do have fun trying new recipes. But right here, right now, it's just not the season that we're in. And that's okay. And so we don't have tons and tons of variety. Everyone is not always excited every night when they see what's for dinner. But we have been able to consistently cook at home and with the food sensitivities that we have. So I do understand, maybe not to the full extent, but gluten-free and dairy-free, like, it's not fun, right? But we've still been able to figure it out so that we can cook at home consistently. Another thing that I know about myself now too is that I don't shop in bulk. So I don't go to Costco. I don't, even if I see something on clearance, I'm very hesitant. It has to be a very good deal and I have to know for sure we're gonna use it up over the next month. But for me, buying in bulk or extra stuff when it's on clearance is too much inventory to manage. And so I do not do that anymore. Now, we have our extra food storage in the basement that I keep separate from our regular pantry inventory, because for myself, the only way for us not to waste food is to keep a low inventory, whether it's the fresh produce and meats and stuff in the fridge or the stuff in the pantry. I have to keep the inventory low. So if you feel like you're consistently wasting food, throwing stuff away because it's expired, you're probably still trying to manage too much food inventory. And so it's learning these things about ourselves, that it's okay. It's okay if I can't remember that there's broccoli in the fridge that's gonna go bad. Most of us can't, right? How much energy do we actually have to put towards meal planning right now? For me, it's low right here. I don't have a lot of extra time and energy. Now again, will there be other seasons when I will have more time and energy? Yes, I think there will be. But for now, I have to keep low inventory, and that is the only way that I will remember it, that I will cook consistently, and that we won't waste food and therefore save money. So I'm not buying in bulk, I'm not doing sales and coupons, but we still save money because we're not eating out and I'm not wasting food. And so it's the same. I feel like our grocery budget is the same now as compared to when I was couponing and going to multiple grocery stores and stocking up on things. And I've heard from many others the same thing. And so there's different ways to get to this goal of saving money, right? But for me, it's low inventory. That is the only way that I stay on top of it, but also don't despise cooking too, right? Is by having this low inventory. Okay, so I did create a worksheet that I used to use for meal planning and grocery shopping, and many of you had said that it was helpful. So I do want to show you that real quick. So again, I have at the bottom is my meal selection, and I have it broken down into quick and easy convenience meals, instant pot meals, chicken meals, and so that I know like what are my quick meals, what are my instant pot meals. And then on the top is my pretty standard shopping list. And so I can just circle the things that we need. I will put this as a printable down below. I don't know how to make it fillable, so I'm sorry. I have a blank version and I have my version. From there, I don't know. So I'm sorry that I don't have something more robust to share with you, but it's actually really easy to create on your own if you want to use something like that. But that was very helpful when I was meal planning. I would just circle the meals that we're gonna have for the week, and then I would go to the top and I would circle the groceries that are needed to make those meals. Again, these meals I know inside and out, so I don't need the recipe in front of me to know what I need for groceries. And that was really the magic behind it, being able to see all the meal options and then to make the grocery list from that. And so that worked very well. Now I do it, I don't even need it anymore because we've simplified it so much. but that was a really helpful tool for me when I was getting back in the habit of meal planning and cooking at home. So again, just to recap, you're not bad or wrong if you haven't been able to successfully meal plan and cook at home. These are compound habits that actually take a lot of energy and bandwidth to implement. So I completely understand if you haven't been successful at this in the past. So the best thing we can do is to simplify our meal rotation and get in the habit of cooking at home consistently again, and then from there start to expand the recipes and the choices that we offer to our family. You're not a bad mom if you don't have tons of variety and everyone's favorite every night for dinner, right? And we get picky eaters and food sensitivity. So I understand that too. I don't have these like magical kids that just eat anything and everything I put on the table. There's lots of like, ew, gross at our table too. I will share some of my favorite recipes and that printable down below for meal planning if it's helpful for you. But honestly, you can do it in a notebook, and it doesn't have to be fancy. In fact, the simpler, the better, I think, when it comes to meal planning. All right, well, I would love to know any tips or apps or anything that you use down below that you really like. If you would share that too, it helps this conversation to be more well-balanced too, all right? So I love you. I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.